Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to show you guys how to balance your Crane 2 with your Servo follow focus and a lens that's heavier than your camera body. Now you'll see in this video before I started the tutorial, I attached a cage to my camera, as well as a counterweight on top. That's because the lens that I am using is rather heavy in comparison to the camera body, but I wanted to show you guys that this kind of a setup is possible to balance on the Crane 2. So at first I had tried to balance the unit with camera, Servo follow focus, and a heavier lens without a cage and counterweight, and I was highly unsuccessful. That's because you should never have a front heavy unit on a gimbal, ever. It just makes finding the center of gravity difficult or virtually impossible. And it's so easy for it to sway out of motion even when the gimbal is powered on and quote unquote stabilized. So it's always good to start with a more balanced unit so you can truly find the center of gravity and have your gimbal properly stabilized. So the cage and counterweight help to balance out the front heavy lens by adding weight to the back and evening out the whole unit. I highly suggest you use them if you're using a larger lens like I'm doing here. ZHIYUN-TECH does offer counterweights, but I just used some that I had already. I decided to attach it to the hot shoe because I knew I wasn't going to be using the hot shoe for anything, and also it's visible in the video for you guys to see while I'm demonstrating the stabilization. Once you do that first, you've also got to make sure that everything that you're going to be using with the camera and gimbal is already on there before balancing. This includes cables, battery, memory card, camera filter, servo follow focus, etc. They should all be on the camera and gimbal already, because any small movement or change in weight will throw out the balance. And you'll see in just a moment how small of an adjustment it takes to completely throw it all off balance. Okay, now that we got the tedious part out of the way, let's balance this thing. First thing you ever want to do is figure out the whole mounting plate situation. So you want to adjust it forward or backwards before you adjust any of the axes. That is because the servo follow focus is on this rod here and it doesn't move with the camera or the mounting plate. Therefore, you have to adjust how far you want your mounting plate out front or back before you start doing any of the adjustments on the roll, tilt, or pan axes. Because this is a little back heavy, as you can see, it's falling a little bit. I'm going to move the mounting plate forward to adjust the center of gravity forward a little bit. So I'm just going to loosen this up. We're just gonna move the mounting plate to the point where it doesn't move forward or backwards. It's just sort of in the middle when you let go. So that is about good. I would lock it in right here and then do some additional adjustments around the axes. So I'm gonna lock that in. Oh, it's a little front heavy now, you can see. So again, just adjust the mounting plate back. Now it's a little back heavy. And you gotta just remember, like, the smallest micro adjustment will make a huge difference. So I just moved it ever so slightly, like 1 mil, and it's moving forward. So I have to take it back even less than that, like 0.5 mil. It's not falling really forward and it's not falling really backwards. So even though this looks pretty good right now, I will tell you that right now we need to move the servo follow focus to match where we've put the mounting plate. Right now, the servo follow focus is slightly back. We need to move it to the front just a little bit, and that may throw everything off. So we need to fix that. So I'm just gonna loosen up the dial here, make sure that it is lining up with the gear teeth right here. Once it is lined up, I'm going to lock it in place. Once it's locked in place, you can see it's falling forward slightly. So it is slightly front heavy now. Instead of moving this mounting plate back and forth, which you could do, I'm going to start first with the tilt axes. Because if I move it a little bit back and then I move the servo follow focus back, it might end up being back heavy because that was just a tiny micro adjustment. So you don't wanna go back and forth with the mounting plate and the servo follow focus. So we're gonna go ahead and start on this tilt axes. So the tilt axes allows the camera to go up and down. After that, we're gonna work on the roll axes, which is right at the back here, and it allows the camera to roll. And then lastly, we're gonna deal with the pan, and it allows the camera to pan left and right. And you're just gonna make micro adjustments. If it's leaning forward, you want to push it up just so slightly. And that small micro adjustment helped a great deal. When your tilt axis is truly stabilized, you can pretty much leave your camera in any position along the tilt axis and it's going to stay in that position. And especially when you're able to tilt it all the way up, this is one test that you have to do. When you face the camera vertically upwards, it's going to stay. But again, any position, it should be able to stay, whether it is straight, whether it's tilting all the way up or tilting down, it should be able to stay in any position perfectly still if it's really stable. That means you've really found the center of gravity. Once it's actually centered like that, any which way you move it, it is going to stay stabilized. And that's really gonna take off a lot of work on the motor and it's not gonna damage your gimbal over time. With the roll axes, you just want it to be level, parallel with the ground. As you can see, the camera is parallel with the floor. And then the hardest one is, I had to stop talking and get into this position first, is to do the pan axes, which requires you to kind of flip it parallel to the ground like this and make sure it is parallel to the ground. So as you can see, it is a little front heavy, but when I position it parallel to the ground, it pretty much stays. We're good for this one. If not, then you'd be adjusting this. So when you're happy with your adjustment, all you gotta do is turn on the gimbal. As you can see, it's already pretty stabilized, so there's only gonna be a very small movement. And I'm gonna hold down the record button and power button. And you can see there's just that tiny movement, it moves into place. And right now it defaults to pan follow mode when you turn it on, and it should be stabilized. So right now in the pan follow mode, you can move it left and right. And it basically stays perfectly horizontal as you are doing that. So guys, that was my quick demonstration on how to balance your ZHIYUN-TECH Crane 2 with a servo follow focus as well as a front heavy lens. I hope that was helpful. Make sure to also check out my 2 other videos in this 3-part series where I teach you how to use your servo follow focus with the Crane 2. This includes a video on how to install the unit as well as update the firmware on your Crane 2 so it can be used with the focusing unit. If you guys found this video helpful, please help me out by leaving a thumbs up or a comment down below. Subscribe if you'd like to see any more of my videos in the future, and click the notification button so you don't ever miss a new video. As always, thanks for watching guys, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Bye!